Good afternoon, weird, frustrated adults of the interwebs. My name is DrJackert, and today I just wanted to talk a little bit about, our being weird, our being frustrated, and our being adults. So, as you may or may not have recognized at this point, depending on how long you've been in your early to mid 20s, how weird and how frustrated you become. I think a huge part of being a young adult is getting rejected all the fucking time by everybody, everywhere, for everything. Whether it's an internship, a job, a relationship, just being treated with respect, just shot down, rejected, no chance. It's not going to happen. And rejection completely sucks. And I don't know if you've ever, failed at something, but rejection certainly feels like failure. Or I don't know if you've ever made a mistake or done something wrong, but getting rejected feels like you're being punished for it. I don't know if you've ever been told you're not good enough, be it explicitly or otherwise, because that's pretty much what rejection is. Let me ask you this. Does each additional failure, in this sense, take a lasting toll in how you view yourself in the context of your social environment? Does each new disappointment act as one of hundreds of elements in a concoction of your own reluctance to try? Do you regret giving this channel a chance on a whim yet? Well, I cannot relate. That sucks, I guess. As a practically flawless individual, I am left only to speculate on how embarrassing falling short must feel. And I offer you a single word of consolation, being ouch. But as your friend, I recommend not fucking up in the future, maybe, and not disappointing the precious few remaining individuals that are dumb enough to maintain faith in you and your ability to succeed. I don't know, how about making a correct decision for once? Or you ever heard of a good choice? Crazy thought. Try being better. It's not rocket science. I understand this may not be popular advice, and before you all scamper off to the comments section to craze, just let me say that you're absolutely welcome, and thanks for watching. Subscribe for more elite gaming content, and keep it real. I'll see you later. Alright, fine. I'm actually not quite perfect. In fact, I'm pretty weird and I'm pretty frustrated myself. There's far more wrong with me than there is right, and, nevertheless, this is not a video about my personal shortcomings. It's not some frustrated flow of consciousness explaining why I deserve more or less in life. And it's not a teary-eyed complaint aimed broadly at the universe regarding how unfair life can be. I think I kind of like me this way, and what's right with you, to be brutally honest, is fucking boring. It's not interesting. Trust me. Anyone but your closest friends and loved ones care very little about news of your success. And even those that act like they do are probably just being nice. Here in the United States, and many places abroad, success is more or less the expectation. And as relative opportunity seems only set to diminish with the rise of AI and whatnot, modern stuff, competition nears a fever pitch in tandem with an ever-growing population of school children with straight A's trying to stand out in a sea of straight A students by any means necessary. Opportunity to be successful appears, at best, stagnant as people desperate for success grow in both numbers and their desperation to be successful. Now more than ever, one's achievement must equate to the failure of others. There is not room for all of us to succeed. Not all of us, not even close to all of us. It may be time to reevaluate how we view success as our generation, or your generation, Gen Z or millennials, doesn't matter, as we begin to constitute a larger portion of the social sphere and therefore carry a larger influence on our ever-shifting culture. And complaining about culture more or less reinstates it as the culture. So complaining about their culture all you want, but they won't be around forever. And at some point, we have no choice but to acknowledge our own role in preserving a culture we're deeply dissatisfied with. So at the end of the day, we decide we're the culture now, and it's time to make it count. So the fact is that as of now, we are still at the mercy of an apathetic populace that takes great pride in their rugged upbringing, featuring daring acts such as drinking water from a garden hose, goofing off outdoors until Ma said dinner time, and mastering the timeless art of dialing a rotary phone. But, with that said, someday the roles will reverse. Well, kind of, because those hose drinkers will actually be in various stages of decomposition rather than applying for corporate positions at BuzzFeed and whatnot, but Still, someday we will determine what constitutes a good candidate, what justifies a rejection, and what it is that makes an individual worthy of a chance to prove oneself. Thus, we must preserve the memory of our present circumstances such that we do not make the same mistakes as our slightly racist, Facebook-obsessed ancestors. So moving on to romantic rejection, or, rejection in terms of relationships and whatnot. So for those of you who have yet to hear, it turns out that repeated public outbursts in response to romantic rejection are embarrassing. Not just to you and those directly associated, but to everyone in a 200-meter radius of the tantrum that, despite this, cannot look away. You can be a shredded supplement junkie with a blender bottle full of dragon blood for all I care. The fact is that arguing with someone's lack of interest makes you look like a coward. Don't be a coward, or at the very least go be a coward somewhere else until you're finished being a coward. Of course, those of us that are human emphasize the value of personal and environmental control. In this case, consider ignoring the temptation to seize control of the rejection scenario, rather exerting control over the internal mechanisms responsible for internalizing this instance and thereby confronting the seeds of insecurity at a choke point before they can sprout into a tantrum in the short term and a flat-out shitty and unlikable attitude in the bleak long term. Confronting rejection head-on is one of few instances in life where your mettle is truly tested, trial by fire, if you will. It can and often does feel quite daunting to incorporate feelings of inadequacy into self-awareness, but do yourself a favor and skip the part where you impulsively put on a humiliating performance that, while the public unanimously sees right through it, only serves to shield oneself from any of the thoughts, feelings, and/or experiences that are at the root of the problem and its respective solution, with the latter extending further and further beyond reach with each infantile refusal to grab the shovel. Sure, we all get defensive, but mastery entails recognizing our insecurities in the moment as they are affecting our behavior and taking ownership of these insecurities as well as responsibility for the embarrassing behavior that they may have influenced, not afterwards in some forced non-apology to avoid sleeping on your soon-to-be ex-girlfriend's couch. In our largely routine lives, each instance of rejection acts to test the true strength of one's character. Beyond a rare opportunity to publicly exhibit that you are, in fact, the ultimate tough guy, confronting rejection head-on is one of few instances in life where your mettle is not only tested, but also forged and sharpened into a sword of self-esteem earned the hard way. One day in kindergarten, sometime after indoor recess, but definitely before our snack time, I learned that, like it or not, some people in life weren't going to like me. To make a short story even shorter, basically we were given a coloring sheet to complete, and it was a map of the 50 states. We didn't have to write in the state names or anything like that, but basically we're supposed to color the state outlines different colors. Apparently I didn't get the memo, and I just colored the whole thing black. The teacher actually didn't really say anything about it, but someone did tell on me for it, and that's when I realized that there was really nothing I could do to make that girl like me. She was going to dislike me no matter what, because I was going to color the United States black no matter what, and there was really nothing she could do about it. Now, any other time, I probably would have apologized to her, because she was a little girl that was crying, and she was telling the teacher, and I didn't want to get in trouble. But this time, nap time was coming up, so I thought, you know what, I'm going to sleep on it. So I actually remember it really vividly that so as the temperature of my thin Spider-Man 2 beach towel, which was sick as fuck by the way, it began to match the frigid chill of the apathetic linoleum underneath me. It hit me that being disliked is actually totally fine and maybe even a little rad sometimes. So today I hope to offer you this same assurance. This may come as difficult news at first, given the implications it carries regarding an absence of any real control over our social environment. At first, self-esteem plummets as one comes to terms with the notion that by making the choice to socially engage with anyone, you're kinda at the mercy of that individual regarding how the engagement impacts your social life in both the short and long term. And trust me, it's absolutely true that friends can turn their backs on you in the blink of an eye when things become at all uncomfortable for them, but so what? Fuck them. Let's revise this statement to remind us that we're not at fault for living our lives as ourselves. In my eyes, not everybody should like you. If you are universally beloved, not only are you a scary, weird person that is absolutely, without a doubt, up to something sinister behind closed doors, you will never be beloved by me because you're a weirdo, therefore making it impossible to be liked by everyone. You can enjoy your paved highway, fast track straight to the grave, I guess, my faceless friend. After I see what this baby can do off-road, I'll meet you there. However, given its complete lack of significance, I humbly ask for your forgiveness in advance for inevitably forgetting your name. Anyone making it this far in this absolute mess of a video is, like myself, completely off one's respective rocker and should likely be placed on a list somewhere, in a good way of course. For this reason, for my applicants out there, be it for internship, school, career, or otherwise, if one place says no, those cowards almost certainly went with the generic version of you they'd already hired a million times. Living in a colorless dust bowl resembling the depiction of Kansas featured in the original Wizard of Oz movie, a vibrant personality is seen simply as unusual, and although highly ambitious and experientially qualified, you may pose a risk to the workplace status quo, a risk that Susan and HR decidedly cannot take. Try again, remembering that anyone unwilling to give you a chance to shine is likely too dim to see your potential. They can, in theory, all say no, but you'll be more prepared to be disappointed next time and therefore more confident going in. Social rejects, recognize that the fact you've been outcasted inherently makes you significant, and filter that significant energy somewhere besides revenge and jealousy. There's clearly something up with you and nothing up with them, so I'd pick you for my team anyways. Overall, a lovely byproduct of rejection and, with patience, self-awareness is the ability to value people based on what makes them strange and not just different. Monotony is far too accessible in the lifespan of a U.S. citizen, and tapping into the bizarre in ourselves and others is one of sparingly few sources of consistent variety in our lives. Given success is often the expectation, meeting expectations is often that which is right or normal, and that normal is fucking boring, perhaps that which is wrong, or a failure to meet expectations, is all that remains in what makes us uniquely human, or at the very least, the slightest bit interesting. Everybody and their mother has straight A's, but only a few far-sighted, mentally ill Ohioans scraped their way through 2 years of university on the distant eastern seaboard simply because someone he didn't care for told them that he never would. This, of course, is strictly theoretical and in no way related to one person, but you get the idea. Indeed, perhaps such a case may entail a transcript containing alphabetically inferior letters to the first accompanied by a minus or two, but it offered me a choice between a flawless academic record accompanied by a sterile corporate internship and a spotty transcript with the newfound resilience from having a story. Between the two, I'd take being socially outcast and nearly wrongfully expelled any day of the week. Success isn't really being told yes, or correct, or good job, nor is success receiving any of those words despite anything else. Rather, success, to me, takes the shape of getting to know oneself the hard way, through failures, both professional and personal. I do not take pride in my mistakes or my shortcomings, but I do take pity on those that will never pursue the opportunity to recognize either for what they are. Failure after failure after failure has granted me something similar to how we often think of self-esteem, although it has nothing to do with how I see myself as worthy in the context of others. Rather, it has granted me a resilience within self-awareness that many may never have cause to develop. The longer you go without knowing how to fail, the higher the chances are that failure will consume you. I have failed before, and I am ready to fail again. I know me like no one else does. Did I deserve to get rejected? I decide. Do I care? I decide. Am I worth less after having failed for the 1,000,001th time? Not even close. You cannot fucking stop me. Each time I'm rejected, I am faced with confronting myself at my most vulnerable, and any attempt at engaging in this confrontation is a surefire way to facilitate character growth and help you become the full version of who you really are. If that doesn't interest you, go sweat it out, get rich, hit the gym, game the algorithm, whatever you do. That will always be the goal for most of us. But as the ratio of people that actually find success through these means continues to shrink, think of this advice when you fail, then try again. All A's or not, the competition does not have the maturity, the clarity, or even the humanity of a person practiced in the art of receiving a no, a wrong, a we chose someone better instead, a I'm not interested, and receiving information with a smile. No envy, for you do not want to be that guy that got the good news because that guy's not you. Though jobless, dateless, friendless, or futureless for the moment, once you dive in and learn to swim in your conscious negativity, I'm sure you'll find that you just may be the most interesting person that you've ever met. Alright guys, well that's about it for me. Make sure to leave a comment for a chance to be featured in the next video. Feel free to leave a topic for me to talk about or just a problem you want me to try to solve. I really don't care. In the meantime, take care of yourselves, and I'll talk to you later.